Respectable as Strategicon. Use it 11. But everybody, welcome to Plus 10 to Awesome Podcast. I'm here talking to Robin, who's not only a staff member here at Strategicon Gamex, but also a very prominent member of the Pathfinder Society, which is what we're going to talk about today. Hi, Robin. Thank you for joining us here on our podcast. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what the Pathfinder Society is and what it does for gamers?
Well, Pathfinder Society is really cool. It's basically the organized play arm of Pathfinder Role-Playing, which is published by Paizo Publishing out of Seattle, Washington. I'm sure hopefully everybody at this point has heard about this game system because it's made a major impact in the community and it's growing fast. Pathfinder Society provides for a way for players worldwide to basically make a transportable character that they can take their character and go from any place in the world or online or via play-by-post and play their character with other groups of people who have that same access. We've had soldiers come back from Afghanistan who've had characters and they've been able to jump into games and they've been able to play over there with other friends. It's exciting.
So basically it allows players to be part of a larger gaming community and interact with each other over long distances and actually have a living world that evolves from one point to the other over the terms of real life and in the game.
Very much so, and we're starting into this summer. We're starting in our 4th season of Pathfinder Society, which is kind of neat. There's radical changes going to be happening again this year. This last year, we explored our new side of the continent, which added into Oriental-based themes and races and such like that, since they were able to break through the northern polar ice caps to explore and establish some trade routes with them, which is kind of neat. So it really added some depth.
So, much like other games where you would have, let's say a MechWarrior universe where you have a lot of novelizations and you have a lot of things that are provided by other authors and other people that are sort of crafting the world. Pathfinder, on the other hand, is different in the fact that the players themselves get to craft the story of the Pathfinder world and contribute to that and become part of a larger narrative than just their own.
Yes, it's true, because part of their culminating event that they always hold at Gen Con, they always affects future events in the world. But at the same time, it's very much a world that's very centered in glory, which is, been developed by Jason Buellman and the crew up at Seattle, who very much direct the world and where it's going to go and provide, based on the input. Was at previous conventions that they have attended, they've actually done play sessions where they've gotten player input on, hey, where do we want to go next on this? And they've gotten player input on that, so it's actually kind of neat.
So in Pathfinder, when you're playing with Pathfinder Society, you actually have a contributing role in the narrative of a greater world. And what I really like about it is the incredibly broad scale that it sets you in, and the idea that you are not just going from dungeon to dungeon, but you're actually moving from one place in the world to the other, and it's very much alive and very organic, and that's really, really cool. Why don't you tell people that might not be familiar with Pathfinder as an individual game, what kind of game it is, and systemically what kind of rule set you guys use?
The rule set of Pathfinder Society has it's based on the 3.5 OGL, which was released years ago.
Right.
What's kind of neat though is that they fixed several things. So several people call it. It's been affectionately called 3.75. Because all of those original source materials are still compatible with the system. Yet. Now, remind me what else I'm supposed to be talking about here. I'm supposed to.
Well, you're basically telling us that it's based on the 3.5 Dungeons and Dragons system.
Yes, Dungeons and Dragons.
That's been heavily modified to fix a lot of the rules holes and
that have developed over the years.
Developed over the years, and a lot of the game imbalances.
So it was a slight reset as opposed to a major reset of the system. So it maintained a lot of the love from the community because of that.
And a lot of the people that actually still love the 3.5 system and the fact that it's an open license system allow you to be able to sort of take the reins of 3.5 after they moved over to 4th edition and satisfy the fan base that didn't quite enjoy or didn't appreciate 4.0 for what it was, and enjoyed 3.5 as what I like to describe it more as a more pure role-playing game than 4.0 that seems to be a little bit more dependent on miniatures and focus on the combat situation.
That's very true.
Of D&D.
And that's one of the things, we've had some great writers write us scenarios for the Pathfinder Society. We're putting out approximately 2 to 4 scenarios a month, for these people to play of 1 hour, for 4 to 5 hour sessions blocks. And so people are their characters grow fast if they want them to, or they grow slow as they want to. And so they're able to really enjoy the levels that whenever they get to that sweet spot of a character, you can slow down the growth of your character. Right now, that's something they added this last year. So somebody who really loves 7th level, they can speedily pass through those lower levels during standard growth. They get to their 7th level character. They've grown their character. They've developed the background for them by playing. So it's not just pre-gen, it's being handed to them. And then they live the moments of those levels they love.
So that's kind of great because you take something that's sort of a long-term story, and let's say the short stories that make up Conan, there are big blocks of sort of adventuring that he's done in between the main stories. But when you focus on the main story, that's sort of the main narrative that you focus on, and you can spend a lot of time in that area of the narrative and explore your character and develop your character at that point without being forced to move on to something else.
Yes, and it's the other thing I love about Pathfinder Society. I've been able to travel conventions throughout the West and Midwest. I've met friends, and I met through their characters, and I've developed close friendships with those people. And you look forward to seeing them again at the next event, whether that's at a store or whether that's at conventions and such like that.
Or you guys probably have some things that you. Is it possible for somebody who's running an event to just simply run it at their house and invite people to come over?
Very much so.
It's very open.
It's still, a major source of our player base are the home-based games.
Well, that's really great because, it takes away from the idea of this being just a solid business and you're just trying to sell books and supplements and promote the game to an actual association that's more of a very large club of people that just share a love and passion for a game and then can then move on and be part of a larger organization.
There's oftentimes the problem with a lot of these people, they're playing the home games, and whether they moved or their group shrank or whatever, suddenly they have this loved character. Hey, this character can go play in a new setting, new game, because as long as you follow the guidelines set forth by the Pathfinder Society on how you advance your character, how you build your character, and how it's grown, it's welcome at that next table.
So tell me a little bit about those guidelines. What kind of requisites does the Pathfinder Society make of people and their characters and their advancement?
It's
it's a little bit overly complex, and I'm simplifying it. But let's just actually give you a for instance. Let's say that somebody has a 5th level character that they've played in their home game, and they moved from LA to Seattle, and they want to advance that character. What kind of justification do they have to provide to the Pathfinder Society to make that character a legal character to play in a Pathfinder Society?
As long as that character was already playing Pathfinder Society scenarios,
Okay.
The way that he advanced, every time he played 3 games, he advanced a level.
Okay.
He's got chronicle sheets that document that,
Okay.
his lifespan. So by the time he's 5th level, he's already played 15 Pathfinder Society games.
Other than the benefit of being able to move around, are there any other benefits for somebody that wants to run games for Pathfinder Society or be very active in the society? What kind of benefits do you have for being an active member?
The socialization with friends, the groups that you're able to walk into and be accepted. I've never met a more welcome and opening group than I have, among our role-playing community here. I've really been impressed with that. The transportability of so oftentimes I'm a gamer from the 1970s. Maybe I'm showing my age there, but I've been playing.
I'm not too far off from that too, and I'm not ashamed to show it.
I started 1st edition. And
Yeah.
you played, and I went to college. Okay, I got a new group of friends. I had to start a character all over again. I moved to a new job. I had to start a new character all over again. There was no transportability of my characters. Yes, you could transport your concept, but your character died necessarily when you moved on.
Right.
You don't have to do that now.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. And the games themselves are 4 to 5 hour blocks. They're not 2 they're not 2 months, 2 years.
And they're also scaled to the lifestyle of somebody who's an actual adult and doesn't have the time to, like I used to do in my teenage days, of show up somewhere, start at like 8 o'clock in the morning, and then see the sunset. You know.
Well, and if you still wanted to play those games, it's kind of neat. There's actually some of the modules are 2 and 3 parters,
Okay.
so you can actually play a real continuity on a single storyline. So you can. There's been people here at the con. We just did 4 days of gaming where we were playing 3 games a day. Some of the people that were here participating played hardcore 10 games over 4 days. There's some rapid expansion or rapid advancement and a lot of rapid storylines. They waited to come here to play all 3 parts of some arcs. That way they played the storyline all at once with a single character.
It's kind of like buying a TV show on DVD because you just don't want that to wait a week to see what happens.
Very much so.
Yeah. So let's say you're a player and you want to become a GM of a game.
We love our GMs. The GMs, we always, of course, we give player credit for people who GM scenarios.
Okay.
So that because always the worry is that, I GM, my character's not going to advance. Well, if you want to, you can apply your credit to character advancement also. If you don't want to, that's a choice you can make. At the conventions and stuff like that, and large events, we provide the scenarios to the GMs to play. A lot of stores will buy the scenarios for people to encourage people to come into their stores. The storylines themselves are very inexpensive. You're talking about, I think it's $2.99 a scenario. I mean, where else can you buy a scenario that's that cheap? True, it's an electronic format only. It's PDF, but you can print it out and do what you need.
And I think a lot more often than not, you feel a lot of people that are actually very used to working straight off of a laptop or an iPad nowadays.
The tablet revolution. Yeah, that's
changing everything. So but since it's still based on an open license system, are there other companies outside of the main manufacturer that are producing scenarios for this? And are those scenarios compatible with Pathfinder Society, or are you just limited to those scenarios?
Unfortunately, Pathfinder Society is limited to Paizo published material only. While Paizo does very much support our third-party publishers, I know they love them. They invite them to their conventions and they do that. Because of the restrictive environment of an organized play environment, of how transportable your character can be, there is a restriction on how much material a player can have access to. So like in a homebrew, it's very common for somebody to manufacture magic items for their group and stuff like that.
Right.
In Pathfinder organized play, the individual character can't do that.